the show. So today we're talking about the spiritual evolution of humankind. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun. I wanted to come in with something I didn't know.
Yeah, I was hoping
Yeah.
you would. I gotta be honest, I was a little let down with that.
I was like, do I play this like symbols? But then it wouldn't. I don't know.
It's all right.
I
It's
froze.
real.
I froze, man. I froze.
Well, it was real, and that's all I can ask for you.
I froze.
You.
All I'm thinking of is the Motorhead song. And there's a Motorhead did a song called Evolution for WWE.
Oh,
And
maybe we
it's
can
stuck in my head.
Maybe we can get Dave to sing a little part of that and put it in on this.
Oh, I guarantee he will not.
Oh, well. All right, so let's dive into evolution. But it'll be funny just to ask him.
Yes.
So yeah, we're talking about evolution. So this is, I love talking about this big, gigantic 3,000 steps back and look at things to gain understanding. And this, so I do it often because I like it. So I really do. I mean, I do it a lot in my own life. I do it a lot with my clients. It's just taking a step back, and because it helps put things in perspective. It's the chaos theory. Things don't make sense until you step back far enough, and then all of a sudden things start making sense. So it's, and I actually, I mean, I don't know. I had thought about this to some degree here and there, but like one of the first books I read when I woke up, actually the first book I read was Celestine Prophecy, and they touched on this, and I loved it. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. Nothing.
Vincent is laughing at me, and I don't even know why.
Okay, this is going to I'm so sorry for those of you who are listening to the podcast. I highly recommend you check out the video of this. We're talking about like evolution and stuff, and there just happens to be, if you can see the video of it, I was going to save this for later, but do you want to explain what you're seeing right now, Glenn?
Not really. No. Yeah, there's a dinosaur in his background.
There's a 5-foot
inflatable dinosaur. I knew there was something. I'm like looking at your face, and you were just dying, trying not to laugh. And I'm like, what the heck is he laughing at?
Well, a couple of shows ago, you've been playing with this golf tee.
Yeah.
During podcasts. And then one show you put the golf tee on top of your microphone for the whole time.
Yeah.
And we were like, we should just start adding visual tricks into the show for the people that are watching the video. And I was like, I looked over and I went, oh my God, how do I somehow get that into the shot by the end? And I'm like, it's too far away from me. I can't just kind of. I'm so sorry. Back to the book.
So back to the Celestine Prophecy, and we'll and know what's weird. I just watched the newest what are those dinosaurs? Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, or something. I just watched the newest one the other day. Anywho, freaky connections. So we are, so back to the Celestine Prophecy and evolution. That book does a really cool job of kind of taking a snapshot at times through history. And I think I probably simplified it for my own purpose. But the way I look at it is a lot of our history for the last 8,000-10,000 years has kind of been based on "'cause I said so."
Yeah.
So it's just, examples of this are like the caste system, you're kind of in the career that you were born into, and certain people are this and other people are that. And all the structures were born out of this, religious structures, government structures, what turned into corporate world structures. And, it's all, you just kind of do what you're told and you don't ask a lot of questions. That's just how it is. And that's how, a lot of the world was run. That's how really parenting was done. Like for the last 10,000 years, your parents said something, you just did it, and then, so that was really a lot of society and the way things were run for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And I think when this spiritual awakening started was probably around like the early 60s when the hippies came in, and yeehaw. and that was like the first time there was a large group of people, not only in the US, but all around the world, that were questioning things and breaking away from structured society. And, that when you think about what they questioned everything with structure, all society standards that were just, that's the way it is, or because I said so. All of a sudden they're like, why? That they did that with organized religion and corporate America, and they did that with the government. And, they really shook everything to its core. And that, I think that was the beginning of our big spiritual shift. And I've talked to some people that were in the hippie movement, and sometimes I hear they're like, oh, it sucks. I think we failed. And I'm like, no, like we can't change the entire world in a decade. Like you didn't fail. You did exactly what you were supposed to. And that's just to shake up everything, because nothing's been the same since. People have been questioning things more ever since then. And I think we're moving towards the evolution that we've always been moving towards, of humankind. And that's I think the whole purpose of humankind is to bring our spirituality into our humanness, and, basically just kind of raise our vibration. And because, I don't think that like heaven is another location. I think heaven is a different vibration, so I think that heaven is all around us. It's just vibrating at a really high rate, so we're not exposed to it. It's just like looking at a table. I look at a table and I can't see the movement within it, because it's just the vibration and the movement is not within my, I'm not vibrating at the same rate as a table. It's a lot more dense. So I can't see it happening. So
I don't know, man. Sometimes you're pretty dense.
This is, but see, you brought in the symbol.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just a different, a different vibration. It's kind of like tuning into different radio stations. And as we raise our vibration, then all of a sudden we're going to experience a new heaven and a new earth. When our vibration gets close enough to the vibration of heaven, when we raise our vibrations to be more loving people in a loving society, I think we're going to experience a new reality, because our perspectives determine our reality. And that's kind of, and we'll do another visual. You guys got to watch the video. I'm sorry. Another visual on the picture in the background. This picture I always have behind me. It's a arm that is made out of the earth, and then another hand coming down that's made out of clouds touching, kind of like Michelangelo's fingers touching. So what that symbolizes is heaven and earth combining. So to me, that's like the two parts of us. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So what we're doing is we're enhancing our spirituality, and we're integrating it with our humanness and raising the vibration here on earth little by little. And I think that that's where we're heading. Right, Ben? What do you think about that?
I think that's awesome.
It is awesome.
I think that was I mean, I can't really elaborate on that and be more eloquent than you just were. Because I thought that was great, and that's not a compliment that I give you very often. I'm kidding. Um, I'm sorry. I don't know why
That's
this
goofy
is
today, man.
I don't know why this is the goofiest show that we've done in years, but we should probably also just release the video like on your Facebook page, because there's too many visual gags in this one.
Really.
So I think that's awesome, and I completely agree. Dave did a funeral a couple weeks ago for this is a very sad story. I'm so sorry. Completely not vibing with the rest of the show. But Dave did a funeral a couple weeks ago for a 1-year-old who was sick, and they knew that it was coming, and they had months to prepare and stuff. But that's obviously a very difficult thing. And
Oh my God, yeah.
And he said that the priest, and I thought that this was an interesting thing for a priest to say, but the priest specifically during the service talked about how he doesn't believe that heaven's a place that's separate from us, and that he was using it as a way to say, like, your loved ones are here.
Right.
They are here. They're just in a different. You can't see them, but they're here. And heaven isn't this far off place. It's not. It's not up in the sky and like a different.
It's just a different dimension.
It's
it's still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I believe that. I think that's why people that have the ability can tune into that vibration and connect with loved ones and stuff like that. So it's.
But I thought that was crazy for like awesome for a priest to say during a sermon.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful, because I think what's happening now with a lot of the priests that are really connecting with people are they're letting go of kind of the old school mentality of religion, and they're kind of bringing in things that make sense to them. Which is important, like it's important to bring in things that make sense to people, because if something clicks with you and it makes sense to you, it probably makes sense to others, especially along these lines. So, and we're evolving as a people. So, of course, the way we view things are going to evolve. And I think that that's where we're going. And, like I said, it started in the 60s, really, the big shift. And it's like, it's like an ocean liner changing directions. We're not going to spin around on a dime. This is going to take a while. It's all of humanity coming into a new, better way of being. And, why are we evolving now? Like, that's usually the biggest question. It's like, why do we think now's special? Like, what, if we've been around for 8,000 years or 10,000 years, why are we evolving now? Why is this all of a sudden it's just happening? Isn't that kind of, weird? Self-grandiose that, it's going to happen in our generation or around now. Like, but I don't think it is, because a species evolves when it has to. And I think we've gotten to the point where we have to. We've gotten to the point where we can blow ourselves up as a species. We can literally wipe out our own species on this planet with the technology that we've created.
Easily.
Yeah, easily. And, it's just a matter, and as technology is around longer, it gets easier and easier. So it's just a matter of time before, somebody in a, some whack job in a small country gets a hold of the ability to have a nuke and tries to figure out a way to make it look like, one of the superpowers launched it, So the other superpower will respond, which blow, and then all of a sudden everybody goes. So, I mean, it's just, it's a matter of time. If we don't change the way we are being as a general rule, we're not going to be on this planet that much longer, I don't think. I mean, there are certainly signs that we're changing. But I don't think that, and I'm not to say that you shouldn't vote for who you want, who you want, but I don't think that us electing the right person in the right office is going to fix everything in the next 50 years. Like our whole political system is just so riddled with just dysfunction on every level. It's amazing. I mean, so I don't, and I mean the problems. Let's list the problems of poverty and violence, and I mean, it's just endless. It's endless, the amount of problems that we have as a society all around the globe. And I don't think we're going to fix all them by going, okay, let's fix this one and work on that for a year or two. And then let's fix this one. We'll be here for another, we'll blow ourselves up before we fix all the problems. I think the only thing that is going to save us is what I see happening right now. And that's a mass evolution of the species and I see it all the time. I understand that I'm in this work, but it's not just me. The fact that spiritual books like The Shack are like blockbuster movies now. And that there was 4 spiritual movies. Like a few months ago, I was going to go to the movies, and I looked up the movies, and it was 4 of them with some sort of spiritual or religious message that were at the theaters at one time. And I mean, this theater probably had less than 15 movies, and 4 of them had a spiritual message. The books that are going on around, the Celestine Prophecy that I mentioned earlier, that book was, I believe, on the bestsellers list for like 10 years, and it never had a major media publicity tour. It was mostly through word of mouth. The Shack exploded. This guy wrote The Shack and made like 8 copies at Office Depot. And it took off. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, it's the word of mouth. People who are interested in this type of stuff, it's exploded. Like 10, 11 years ago, Oprah had the biggest webcast in human history with Eckhart Tolle talking about spirituality. The biggest webcast in human history 10 or 11 years ago, and it was based on spirituality. I mean, this is what I mean by, it's not just me. There's evidence that this stuff is really picking up speed, and the fact that I have a job is a testament that this stuff is picking up steam. So there's evidence all around us that we're becoming more kind, loving people. We're reaching out, and I think the basis of it is really it's if you envision an evolution, a spiritual evolution, what would that look like? I mean, I think the only way that could actually come about is if people started, it has to come from the inside out. Like, you can't have something outside of you start a spiritual evolution, because all spiritual work is inside. And the realities that we live are from the inside out. So if we're healthy on the inside, then we live a healthy existence on the outside. Usually we have that backwards, but if we make ourselves happy, then we'll live a happy existence. We're waiting to fix everything on the outside so it looks a certain way, so then we'll be happy on the inside. And that's just not how things work.
I think that one of the biggest telltale signs of an evolution of human spirituality is a podcast that we did a couple, like 2 months ago, of younger generations and spirituality. And I don't remember what the exact name of the show was, but it was the general consensus of it was like spirituality by any other name, still spirituality. Like these these kids, even the younger generation than millennials, but millennials and the younger generation are just they're they're more empathetic. As a whole, like a majority,
Mm.
they're practicing a lot of these things, these tenets. Just they're not they're not losing them. I mean, you've talked a lot about how uh, a lot of this work is remembering what we knew as a child,
Right.
and it feels like they're never losing it.
Right. They are. They're coming in. I believe they're coming in more open to things spiritual. A lot of things spiritual they just take for granted. They manifest things, you know,
Exactly, exactly.
and and Ben is showing us the dinosaur again.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna talk. I'm still
Oh,
talking.
we'll pretend it's a dinosaur talking.
Yeah.
so so yeah. So the kids are coming in more open, and I think that like the all right, bring it back. I can't talk with a freaking inflatable dinosaur looking at me. What the hell? Like, I'm trying to stay on topic, and all I see is this inflatable dinosaur. All right. Ben's going to giggle for a while. I'll try to get back on topic.
You had to move. You're the one that wanted to move and do this thing over video chat.
Yeah, so it's my fault. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Damn Florida. Uh, um, so yeah, I think, and actually those two pieces blend together well with something that was described to me a long time ago. And I'm going to use the terms just because it was the way it was explained to me. And it kind of helps mentally if you have some sort of a label. But I don't know if these labels are true, but the way it was explained to me was that there was a group of people called the Indigo Children, and they came in like around the time of the hippies and my generation, and they were there to shake up structure. They have a rebellious nature. They can be somewhat antagonistic, problems with authority. I'm like, holy crap, that's me. I'm like, that's so me. Like if they said do this because I said so, I was like, okay, then I'm definitely not doing that. And what could be the opposite of what they're trying to make me do? Okay, I will definitely go do that just to prove how much I'm not going to do what they said. So like I was so rebellious, but like the Indigos came in to shake up all the structured stuff. And then the crystals are like the next generation coming in. And I don't mean generation in the terms of human generation. It can span over multiple generations. But the next spiritual generation comes in, and it's the crystals, which they are much more open spiritually. And because of this evolution taking place, that they are, to some degree, they kind of don't fit into our society because they're creating a new society. That's the whole point of this spiritual evolution. It's to create a new way of being, and they have to kind of be different to usher in to that new way of being.
And you have to. This is another thing that you talked about. With the technology and stuff, you have to usher in a new society right now because everything's changing. The technology that you were talking about with the ability to blow ourselves up, that's totally true. But it's also true that like you're not working at a factory for 60 years anymore,
Right.
for 45 years, and supporting yourself and buying a house and having a family and stuff, living at this one job. Like nothing is the same as it was 30
No.
years ago. Absolutely nothing is the same.
Right.
The economy is not the same. The job market is not the same. The technology isn't the same, and the spirituality of the people isn't the same, of the youth of the generation. And it's so those things like empathy and creativity and self-love and
They're becoming
um,
more valuable. People are starting,
they're a necessity too. Like you said, like you don't evolve unless you have to. You have to have those qualities now.
right. Yeah, it's just the robotic I follow orders well is not what the businesses that are expanding right now, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for creative thinkers because we've gotten to the point where creativity is valued more. That's an evolution of the species, that we understand we're going to new places and we're evolving and things are going to be new and we need to go in that direction. And people who can, look at Apple's story. I mean, like I believe it was when they created uh, the iPod, when he was like, walks into a room and says, I want you guys to create the coolest thing ever, the coolest device ever. And then they come up with that and it takes off. It's like creativity is valued more. And that is part of it. And I think it's not a coincidence that technology is where it is because, yes, technology can do a lot of negative things, obviously, but it can also expand whatever we choose to use it to expand. Like the webcast that Oprah and Eckhart Tolle did. It's, we have the ability through technology to connect with people all around the world like we've never been able to do. And that can usher in a new way of being. It can spread it quicker, So if we use this technology for good, I think it's a perfect time for us to have this ability because it's going to speed up this evolutionary process.
Yeah, 100%. This is not where I thought that this was going to go.
No.
But obviously, I mean, I didn't think that I was going to put a camera on an inflatable dinosaur several times throughout the show. But and I'm sorry about that. To those of you who complain that sometimes that the show is not is too goofy, this is definitely not the episode for you. But I think that you figured that out very early in the episode. Um, this is what happens when I go to bed early and wake up at 6 and work out and have water. Like I'm just goofy apparently.
I would guess so.
Uh, so yeah. But I thought that this episode, like when you said the evolution of humankind at the beginning when we were going through topics, I was like, what? What are we? Okay. Like I'll let you talk whatever you want to talk about. It's your show. I don't know what we're talking about in this, and it's it's made a ton of sense to me. So somebody who went into this topic literally 30 minutes ago when we started talking about it, or before that, when we were talking about what we were going to talk about today, I didn't know where this was going and I didn't know what you were talking about, but I said, okay, let's go for it.
And here we are.
And it makes complete sense to me, and I get it, and I think that you explained it really well.
Well, thank you.
Despite my distractions.
Well, thank you. So yeah, I think that that's really the best overview. Where I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to kind of throw in there to wrap it up. And it's there's one thing that I love when I think about this. It's Abraham Hicks puts out a lot of good information. And I saw this one thing that always stuck with me. They said something about, and I won't quote this right, but you'll get the point. They said something like, the newer generations that are coming in now, new, really spiritual, really open to levels that we can't even recognize. And I think sensitivity is a part of that. They're very sensitive. And as we're moving towards a more peaceful, loving society, that's going to fit right in. But what Abraham Hicks said is, they said something about the new generation kind of spiritually, what they're saying, if they were to speak as a group spiritually, they would say, hey, generations before us, thank you. You did a great job. You did a great job shaking up structure and breaking apart longstanding belief systems and stuff like that, so we can usher into this new way of being. So thank you for your role. It was very helpful, but we've got it from here, because where we're going, you can't even imagine.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yes, exactly.
I'm so sorry.
So that's where we're going. So it's in a way that we're going into a place where it's that the kids, it's going to be a whole new way of being that the kids can't, that we can't fully understand. And I'm sure the kids intellectually don't fully understand it yet, but they're going to be expanding into it. And it's a new way of being that that is the whole evolution. And why? Because it's necessary. And it is going to be a whole new way, and there is going to be love. And I've said this before. This is why I think that there's more issues of sensitivity, like autism and things like that. There's been a gigantic spike recently in what we label as a society as disorders, which I'm, and of course, don't get me wrong, I know that there's environmental and food aspects to things and things that we're doing that could be inducing this type of stuff. But I just find it interesting that a lot of the things that we label as disorders that have picked up over recent years are all sensitivity disorders. And I'm wondering if, as we evolve as a species and we become into a more loving, sensitive, peaceful reality, that I'm wondering if these kids are on the cutting edge of that, and they don't fit into our world because our world is dysfunctional. And when our world starts becoming more sensitive, loving, and functional, all of a sudden we're going to find out that they don't have a disorder. That they're just actually sensitive in a way that they're going to fit in really nicely once society catches up to them. That's where my mind goes when I'm sitting along. I go, geez, I wonder, isn't that interesting? It's sensitivity, heightened sensitivity, so there. Take that, Ben.
All right, so send your hate mail to. I'm kidding. There's nothing to.
No,
it would be to me, actually. To me for being so goofy, for sure.
Right.
All right. So this has been a very, very interesting podcast,
especially for you. You've been.
All right. Fuzzy's gonna do the plugs. Oh, the dinosaur's name is Fuzzy. I realized I haven't said that yet.
Oh, okay.
Everybody
Fuzzy.
else. Yeah. It was a 4-year-old's birthday party. Okay. And that's his dinosaur, and it's Fuzzy.
Sure. Sure it was.
Yeah. He named it Fuzzy, whatever. All right. So if you like this episode and you want to, if you liked this episode, whatever, for what Glenn said, not from me, check out glennambrose.com for all of the life coaching. And I'm going to turn it back on me. It feels weird. glennambrose.com if you want to see all of the ridiculousness that we do every week. Check out patreon.com/glennambrose, the best way to help and support the show. Follow Glenn on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere, Twitter at Glenn Ambrose, or Glenn Ambrose Life Coaching. You search for that. You can follow if you want to complain about how goofy I was during this show. You can follow me on Instagram, BenBarber87. And Glenn, Panama
Retreat, July 2019. Be there or be square. Be there or be L7. You know what L7 is?
Is it it's a square?
Yeah. You put your fingers up like an L and a 7, and it makes a square. L7. So another reason to check out the video.
We are the dumbest people in the world.
No, we're the silliest.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will talk at you soon.